Imagine tensions that boil over between the nuclear superpowers, the Cuban Missile Crisis with the game of chicken not working. How will the world end with nuclear bomb? When we look at the bomb that destroyed Hiroshima, that was only 10 kilotons, and the modern bombs are hundreds and thousands of times more powerful. Even by 1961, the Soviet Union had tested a bomb that was 58 megatons, and we know much larger ones are possible. Basically, when you have a fusion device as a trigger, a fusion bomb can be any size. And during the Cold War, the world had nuclear arsenal that equal 1 million Hiroshima bombs. Imagine having World War II level of destruction every second. John von Neumann called it an absolute certainty that there would be a nuclear war and everyone would die in it. John von Neumann was an interesting human being, to say the least. Mostly known for pioneering computing, but he did so much more. Heading to World War II, the military was interested in bigger bombs delivered by planes, missiles, or torpedoes over bigger guns, like during the First World War. The mathematics of expanding shockwave produced by a bomb blast is similar to that of a shell fired at sonic speed, which they had worked on during the First War. But maximizing the destructive power of bombs required a detailed understanding of the fluid dynamics of explosions and the nonlinear equation that came with that. It was this problem, how do you get the biggest bang, that John von Neumann directed his attention in the early 1980s. He was very eager to join the military and would do so in an official capacity from 1937. Through the 1940s, he worked on explosives and ballistics, becoming an expert on shaped charges, working out how exactly the shape of an explosive affects the force and direction of the explosion when the charge detonates. When he was invited to England, the researchers demonstrated that the shockwave from an explosion contained more energy and could cause more destruction than the explosive reaction alone. Using this, John von Neumann discovered that large bombs cause far more damage over a wider area when you detonate them in the air above the target on the ground. He improved the accuracy of the calculations to determine the optimal altitude to detonate a bomb. It was this expertise that earned him an invitation to join the Manhattan Project 6 months after it started, and he made incredible contributions to the creation of the nuclear bomb. Surprisingly, he was not featured on the Oppenheimer movie, and when I was discussing this with one of the boys, he said that he was glad he was not remembered, because after the creation of the bomb, Rose, who was heading the Manhattan Project, played by Matt Damon, established a committee to establish a list of possible targets for the two bombs they had created. Both him and Oppenheimer wanted von Neumann on the panel because he was always cool, had a dispassionate approach to morally fraught matters, and he really wanted to test his mathematics to detonating the bomb in the air. The problem was, the only targets left in Japan were Kyoto, Hiroshima, Yokohama, the Imperial Palace in Tokyo, Kokura Arsenal, and Niigata, and a few more, because the Air Force kept bombing more and more places, and there was fear there would be no places left to show off the bomb. The committee had to negotiate with the Air Force to refer with them before bombing a target. Even by 1982, we knew a major nuclear war would quickly kill half the Earth's population. That's 4 billion people. But can an all-out nuclear war like this mean the end of the human race? If we lose half the population that quickly, that alone will turn us back to the Stone Age, and the planet would only support 5 million hunter-gatherers. This would absolutely mean the end of us all. But the more likely scenario would be extinction through the effects of radiation, cancer, weakening of the immune system, and mainly birth effect. There are studies today that suggest the impact on the world's climate would be severe. 100 million tons of dust being thrown into the air and joined by 300 million tons of smoke from forest fires, grassland fires, and firestorms in cities, blocking sunlight, the outcome would be darkness for weeks and twilight for months, even years. Temperatures will drop by more than 15 degrees centigrade. There will be dangers from nitrogen oxides that form when nuclear blasts burn nitrogen in the upper atmosphere. This would destroy most of the ozone layer, and after the darkness will be fried by UV rays. The most encouraging part I could find is that mammals survived a similar thing that happened and dinosaurs died. And the only reason we've been able to keep nuclear peace is because of fear of mutual destruction. And the game of chicken, the superpowers have been played. While working on the Manhattan Project, John Von Neumann came home and slept 12 hours straight. And when he woke up, he said to his wife, "What we are creating is a monster for which its influence is going to change history, if there's any history left. Yet it will be impossible for us not to see it through. Not only for military use, but it will be unethical in the point of view of a scientist for him not to do something that he knows is feasible, even though he knows there are terrible consequences. And this is only the beginning. The energy that is made available by the scientists is going to make them the most hated, yet the most sought after person in any country."